Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a semi-new podcast in which we discuss Denver sporting news. We break down the games and we talk about what's to come for the teams we love, all through the lens of a bettor. This is the Denver Dollar, and I am your host, Daniel Shalansky. Without further ado, let's get to it. So the Nuggets play the second half of a back-to-back tonight. Both of them are away games. Last night they played, it was a difficult loss in Boston against the Celtics. Tonight they play in Washington against the Wizards. So before we talk about the game tonight, let's talk about the game tomorrow. Obviously, the Nuggets' depth was in question. They were missing 4 guards and 3 out of 5 starters. Those 3 starters being Gary Harris at shooting guard, Will Barton at small forward, and Paul Millsap at power forward. Those guys' absences were severely missed, but also we were missing our best player off the bench in Monte Morris, and in addition to that, PJ Dozier, who is a great depth guard as well, was also absent. So the Nuggets were really struggling to make up for that depth. They really ran a 10-man rotation that included that the starters last night were Jamal Murray at point guard, Facundo Campazzo at shooting guard. They had Jokic at center, and then JaMychal Green and Michael Porter Jr. were the forwards on the court. So the starting lineup, there were a few guys who struggled. JaMychal Green and Michael Porter Jr. both played very bad. Combined, they went 1 of 15, 0 from 7 from the three-point line. But I think it's because they shared their minutes with the other starters who played excellent. You know, Jamal Murray, despite his 9 turnovers, which is really bad for him, still had a pretty good game. Facundo played amazing. I'm very impressed with how he's playing. And of course, Jokic did Jokic things on 43 points on 16 of 23 shooting, 60% from 3. Jokic did Jokic-like things. I think that the only reason the other guys' box score, their plus-minus, was bolstered by the fact that they were sharing the court with Jokic and Campazzo and Jamal Murray, because JaMychal Green was, number 1 on the team in terms of box score plus-minus, and Michael Porter Jr. was tied for number 2 at plus 2 points. JaMychal had plus 4. Those guys played pretty freaking bad, but I think it's because they shared the court with the other guys that they seemed, remotely valid when they were on the court. But, like I said, our depth is what struggled, and, it's a bad sign anytime Markus Howard is playing meaningful minutes in a meaningful game. He played, 8 minutes in the second quarter, and he was atrocious. He was 0 for 4 field goals, 0 for 3 3-points, and he had a turnover. I think there were 3 straight, back-to-back possessions, where first he tried to feed Jokic in the post, and just absolutely missed him, turned it over. And then he was like, all right, Jokic was in the post a few more times, but he lost his confidence in feeding Jokic in the post, which is kind of one of the easier things to do on the basketball court. So he lost his confidence throwing the ball into the post, so he defaulted to what he knows and what he did at Marquette and, jacked up some stupid-ass threes twice in a row. Neither of them went in, and one of the times Peyton Pritchard was guarding Jokic in the post, and Jokic was begging for the ball, and still Markus Howard hoisted up a 3, missed it. In 10 minutes in this game, Markus Howard played 10 minutes, he went minus 12. So, we looked good. We were absolutely competitive when Jokic was on the court, and the other guys around him were on the court. The second Jokic was off the court, everything went bad. Jokic, we were plus 2 in the 38 minutes that Jokic were on the court, which means that there were 10 minutes that Jokic wasn't on the court, and in those 10 minutes we were minus 15. So, we got to get him some help. Michael Porter Jr. has to be better. JaMychal Green has to be better. Jamal was all right. He shot well. He was 9 of 16. He was 4 from 8 from the three-point range. He had 6 rebounds, 6 assists. So, stats-wise, he had a pretty good game. But the 9 turnovers is killer for Jamal Murray. He's got to be better than that in that regard. Facundo was fantastic. He was 5 of 12 from the court. He played the most minutes on the Nuggets. He played 40 minutes. He had 15 points. He had 8 assists. He had 3 rebounds. He looks like between him and Monte, I think we have the best playmaking backup guards in the league. I don't know what our starting lineup will look like when everyone is healthy, but assuming it goes back to normal and it's Jamal and Gary Harris, that means our bench backcourt would be Monte Morris and Facundo Campazzo. Maybe you'd get PJ Dozier at the 3, Michael Porter Jr. at the 4, JaMychal at the 5. I don't know how exactly it would shape up, but the combination of Monte Morris and Facundo Campazzo is each of them, you could make the case that each of them are the best backup point guards in the league. And the fact that they're going to be sharing a unit together is, I don't know if that's going to be too much playmaking, not enough scoring, but holy shit, there will be some beautiful playmaking and some beautiful passing between the two of them. But yeah, like I said, Markus Howard struggled. RJ Hampton struggled. He was 2 from 6 from the field. In 24 minutes, he was minus 16, box score plus minus. Same with Zeke Naji. He was 1 of 3 from the field. In 26 minutes, the Nuggets were minus 18 with him on the court. Vlatko only played 6 minutes. They were minus 9 with him on the court. Hartenstein played 10 minutes. They were minus 15 when he was on the court. It was like in 2K, if any of you have ever played 2K, where the game wants you to lose, and no matter what, you're going to lose a given game because it's important for your career development and it's important for the storyline, but you have it on easy mode. So you put up 50 points in, 24 minutes as a rookie when you're playing, 2K My Career mode, and you're winning, the game's like almost over, and your team's winning by like, say, 50 points. And then they sub you out with 2 minutes left. It simulates the rest of the game, and you lose just because it was. That's what it felt like. Jokic was doing everything he could on the court to secure the win. Same with Campazzo, and even though Jamal Murray had those 9 turnovers, same with him. Those guys were all pretty much net positives together on the court. But then the second they took those guys out, everything went to shit. The reason I'm talking about this so in depth, the Celtics did play a good game. I don't think they're a better team, and that's not just me being salty with the fact we lost. I don't think Jaylen Brown shoots 5 from 10 from the three-point line so often, and that really is what killed us. We had it tied at 71-71 at one point, and then it was, in a blink of an eye, it was 71-80 because Jaylen Brown made 3 consecutive three-pointers, and that absolutely killed, we came back, we spent so much effort coming back, and then that happened, and then at that point, we had 2 rookies on the court. They messed things up in RJ Hampton and Zeke Naji. We just needed more depth, and it was difficult to watch Joker play so many minutes and really, put his heart out there and not win the game. So, why that's relevant for tonight is because we are still dealing with the same injuries. Monte Morris is still questionable with a shoulder injury. He did warm up. He was on the side of the bench. It's blatant that we really need him on the court in this game, but I don't know if he'll be available. Will Barton is still out with a personal issue. PJ Dozier is still out with a hamstring. Gary Harris is still out with a thigh, and Paul Millsap is still out with a knee. So we are absolutely going to be struggling with the same issues. Last time on Bet Rivers, because we had all these injuries, the 3 people that they knew would be playing big minutes and getting stats were Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic. So those were the only 3 available players on the Bet Rivers betting card. Today, they don't know what's going to go on with the Nuggets. They don't know. Jokic is going to be tired. He just played 38 minutes in a loss, scored 43 points. Has to be absolutely demoralizing. I don't know how much he's going to play tonight. It'd be the smart thing for Coach Michael Malone just to try to get those other guys around him going. He knows what he has in Jokic. I'm already going to consider this game kind of a lost cause considering the injuries that the Nuggets are dealing with in this, away back-to-back stretch. I think it's kind of a lost cause. We need to see those other young guys get some minutes and see if they will be as disappointing. I want to see more RJ. I want to see more Zeke. I don't want to see more Hartenstein. I don't want to see more Markus Howard, but we're going to have to. I do want to see more Facundo, even though he played a team-high 40 minutes. He might be tired. But that guy's a speed demon. That guy seems like he's in really good shape. We'll see if he will be able to play that much. But because we don't know what minutes are going to be allocated where in tonight's game, none of the Nuggets players are listed on Bet Rivers. As for the Wizards, only 3 players are available on Bet Rivers. Those 3 players being Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, and Rui Hachimura. Let's talk about some important kind of notes going into the game. The Nuggets are still 3 for 5 in their last 5 games. The Nuggets are still 3 for 5 in their last 5 games. So while they look like they are kind of doing all right, the injuries are really hampering their success. The Wizards, however, are also 3 of 5 in their last 5 games, which is really astonishing considering they're one of the considered one of the bottom tier teams in the NBA this season. The backcourt experiment so far of Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal has not worked out, even though they looked tremendous last game. Let's talk about how they played last game. The most recent game for them was on Sunday. It was on Monday against the Houston Rockets. They won 2 in a row in a back-to-back. They played against the Celtics and won. We just lost to the Celtics. They played against the Rockets and won. and both those games were pretty handily. In the last game that they played on Monday against the Rockets, Bradley Beal had 37 points, 8 rebounds. He was tremendous. He was 14 of 24 from the field, 3 from 8 from the three-point line. He was tremendous. And Russell Westbrook put up one of the prettiest triple-doubles I've ever seen in terms of the stat books. He had 16 points, 15 assists, and 13 rebounds. Yes, he's a stat sheet chaser. Yes, he doesn't do it on great efficiency. 8 of 22 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. But those are some pretty numbers, 16, 15, and 13. Those guys are pretty hot, and they were pretty hot the game before this game when they played against the Celtics, who we just lost to. Right now, the Nuggets are favorites in this game, and I have no reason why. I can't bet on the Nuggets in this game, especially, if the Nuggets were fully healthy, hell yeah, I would take them over the Wizards any day of the week. But we are missing way too many key players, and we are missing, and we have way too many shady players on our bench that are going to get important minutes right now. I do think the Nuggets are one of the deepest teams in the league, but no one can be missing 5 rotation players and still be competitive. That is just kind of how that works, and it's a shame that the Nuggets are struggling with that right now on this back-to-back. So let's talk about the numbers going into the game, or the odds going into the game. The Nuggets are favorites. The money line is minus 155 locked in for the Nuggets, plus 130 for the Washington Wizards. The Nuggets are favored by 3.5 points. If you take the Nuggets against that spread, you're locked in at minus 112. If you take the Wizards, you're locked in at minus 109. The over-under in this game is 233.5 points, over being set at minus 112, and the under being set at minus 109. So I'm not taking any of those bets individually. I do have one parlay in this game, and that is I'm taking the Wizards in tandem with the under, and you can take those individually too, but I don't think the over will hit. I don't think there's any chance that the over will hit, and I don't think that there's any chance that the Nuggets will win, which is, something you should really take advantage of. We know more about the Nuggets than Vegas does, and we know that the Nuggets cannot consistently win with the lineup that they're trotting out right now and the rotation that they're trotting out right now. If Markus Howard gets any more than 10 minutes, I will guarantee you that the Nuggets lose this game, straight up. I think he's one of the worst players in the NBA, and he has not shown he deserves to be on the court whatsoever. Seriously, he had that 8-minute stretch, and I think in that 8-minute stretch he was minus 10 alone. Like there's 3 possessions that are already highlighted back to back. It went turnover, Markus Howard brick, and in that span the Celtics had 7 points, I believe, single-handedly. It was like a 2-minute span where Markus Howard put us down 7 points single-handedly. So yeah, I don't think the Nuggets will win this game. I've already said that a bunch of times, but I might as well keep stressing it. So I do have the Wizards parlayed in the under. The reason I have the under is because the Wizards have only scored so that's a pretty high over-under at 233.5. And the Wizards have only surpassed this mark of 233.5 in 1 out of their last 5 games, in tandem with their opponents. The Nuggets have only surpassed this mark of 233.5 in 2 out of their last 5 games. So the groundwork as of late for both teams makes it show that it makes it seem as though the under is likely to hit. But in addition to that, that doesn't account for the games before, yesterday's game when the Nuggets weren't as banged up as they were yesterday. What do I mean by that? I mean that the Nuggets right now aren't that over the last 5 games. The fact that they've hit 2 doesn't reflect where they're currently at. Last night they scored 99 points, which is not a season low for them. They've obviously, been under 100 points a few times this season, but that is one of their worst offensive outputs, especially considering they're averaging 115.5 points. They are number 4 in the league in scoring. Last night was an atrocity. So I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the Wizards in a parlay. I'm not taking any parlays against the spread because I think that the Wizards win, so you can find better value just betting on the Wizards money line versus the Wizards against the spread. Yes, the Wizards against the spread is safer, but I still think a Wizards win is safe in this game. Anyone who watched the game last night would know that. Now, another bet that I'm taking in this game is that the Nuggets score less than 118.5 points. That is what they're projected, and yes, I know the Celtics are a good defensive team. They're number 6 in the league in terms of defense, especially compared to the Wizards, who are number 29th in the league in terms of defense. But I don't think it matters. I think the Nuggets are kind of like, they're not obviously, defense proof, but Jokic will get his no matter what, and he will find open three-point shooters no matter what. I think it's not so much that we're playing against the other opponent's defense. I think that we're playing against ourselves. I think that, the more minutes Markus Howard gets, the more minutes that Vlatko and Hartenstein get, I believe that we're going to score less and less points. I don't think it's a back-to-back. And Jokic, again, it was a demoralizing loss for the Nuggets. I don't think Jokic will play 38 minutes again. I don't think if Malone was smart, he would just chalk this one up as an L, try to get our guys healthy, rest Jokic a little bit more than he has in the past, and hold him to under 30. He hasn't done that in any of the games, really, so I don't expect it to happen. But I don't think Jokic will come out with the same energy that he had last night. So I'm taking the under for the Nuggets at 118.5. I'm also taking the Wizards straight up in a three-way money line at plus 145. I don't think this game will go into overtime. Overtime is reflected at plus 1400. I wouldn't touch that unless it were plus 2000, considering the fact that only 1 out of every 20 games this season has gone into overtime. I'm taking the Wizards straight up. Let's dive into individual player props. Again, we only have those, at least as at the time of recording, we only have those 3 players on the Wizards available to discuss. Let's start with Russell Westbrook. I'm taking the under on points for Russell Westbrook at 21.5. It's true pick'em fashion, so it's 110 for the over, minus 110 for the under, the same value reflected for both. I'm taking the under for a few reasons. He's averaging 19.3 on the season, 19.3 over the last 30 days, 18.8 over the last week, and in the last game he scored 16 points. The Wizards have been good over the last week, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but they've won 2 in a row. In those games, it's not because Russell Westbrook is carrying the scoring load. He's averaging more assists than he has throughout the season. He's averaging 10.8 assists over the last week as opposed to 9.4 on the season, and he's only averaging 8.2 assists over the past 30 days, but 10.8 over the past week, and that's when they're winning. So he's being more of a facilitator than a shot maker. And if he's smart at all, obviously he does like chasing his stats, but if he's smart at all, he will stop chasing those shots. Hopefully he won't take 22 shots in this game. And if he were smart, he would just play that facilitator role and dish the ball to Bradley Beal as much as possible. That's what's been working for them as of late. I'm taking the under on Russell Westbrook points at 21.5. I'm taking the over on his assists, however, at 9.5. Over the past week, he's averaging 10.8 assists, like I just said. And in the last game, he had 15 assists. That is where the Wizards are finding success, is Russell Westbrook distributing the ball. I'm taking the over at 9.5 assists, and there's excellent value attached here at plus 115. I'm also taking the over on his rebounds at 8.5. Sure, the over doesn't have great value as compared to the under at minus 118 versus minus 104, but all the stats tell me to take the over. He's averaging 9.2 on the season, 8.9 over the last month, 9.3 over the last week, and 13 rebounds in the last game. He's only set at 8.5. All of those marks are pretty handily above this mark of 8.5. I'm taking the over there. On to Bradley Beal. I'm taking the over in most everything for him except for assists. 3-pointers, he's locked in at 2.5 3-pointers, set at minus 105. On the season, he's averaging 2.6. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 2.7. Over the last week, he's averaging 2.7. And in the last game, he had 3. Why is there better value attached to the over? When across all of those marks, he's hitting above this mark of 2.5 threes per game. I don't know, but I'm taking the over because there's better value than the under, and I do genuinely think he hits the over. All the stats that are available would suggest that. In terms of points, he's locked in at 30.5 points. On the season, he's averaging 33.1. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 31.7. Over the last week, he's averaging 32. And in the last game, he scored 37. All of those marks, again, are above this mark of 30.5. You're not getting great value at minus 125, but I do think Bradley Beal hits the over, especially with our shady, defense and our shady team as of right now. Normally, I do like to say we have a good defense. We've become, we went from number 26 in the league in terms of points per game allowed to number 8 at one point. We were number 8 going into the game last night. we're missing too many important defensive players in order for that to keep going. Gary Harris is, one of the best guard defenders in the league. Paul Millsap is a good defender. PJ Dozier is an excellent defender as well. Will Barton is not a great defender, but he sometimes gets it done. We're missing too many guys, and we have too many rookies playing to be a stellar defensive team. I think Bradley Beal goes off. As for his assists, I don't think he hits this mark of 4.5 assists. I'm taking the under, locked in at plus 102, which is better value than the over. On the season, he's averaging 4.4. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 4. Over the last week, he's averaging 4.3. And in the last game, he only had 3 assists. So pretty much across the board again, he's under that mark of 4.5. And you're getting better value attached to the under than the over at plus 102 versus minus 124. I'm taking the under. For rebounds, I'm taking the over for Bradley Beal at 4.5. I'm not getting great value at minus 124, but I am taking it. He's averaging 5.2 on the season, 5.2 over the last 30 days, and that's only been trending up. He's averaging 6.3 over the last week, and he had 8 in the last game. I absolutely think he crushes this mark of 4.5 assists in this game, and I don't think it's close. I think that's an easy mark, an easy bet to take, even though it's locked in at minus 124. I'm taking the over on his player special. That's combined points, assists, and rebounds at 39.5 at minus 129. In the last game, he had 48. Over the last week, he's averaging 42.6. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 40.9. And on the season, he's averaging 42.7. All he has to do is exceed 39.5 combined points, assists, and rebounds in this game. I think he gets that done fairly easily. For Rui Hachimura, there's only one bet that I felt comfortable taking, and that was the over on his rebounds of 5.5, locked in at minus 107. Now, in the season, he's averaging 5.5, but it's been trending up. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 6.1. Over the last week, he's averaging 6.3, and he had 9 in the last game. I think the Nuggets are going to jack up a ton of shots, and I don't think they're going to make them with much consistency, and that only lays the template, for Rui to get a lot of defensive rebounds. I'm going to take the over at minus 107. Now, the last thing I wanted to discuss in this game is double-double threats and triple-double threats. Given the fact that we can only talk about those 3 players on the Wizards, obviously we can only talk about Russell Westbrook as a double-double threat and a triple-double threat. Russell Westbrook to get a double-double is at minus 150 and plus 122 to not get a double-double. Now I'm going to do something weird here, and I already bet $5 on each of these. I'm doing something weird here. For Russell Westbrook to get a triple-double, he's locked in at plus 300, minus 435. So, with Russell Westbrook's recent success, he's averaging close to a triple-double over the past week. He is averaging a double-double, but on the season, he's not averaging a double-double, and over the last 30 days, he's not averaging a double-double. I bet that Russell Westbrook does not get a double-double, but he does get a triple-double. I feel as though Russell Westbrook will get a triple-double if he does secure a double-double, but I'm not confident that he will even get a double-double. Both of them are in the plus at plus 122 for the double-double that he doesn't get it, and plus 300 for the triple-double. As long as one of those hits, I'm still in the money. I hope he gets a triple-double, but that's more risky considering the fact that I could also root for him not to get into double digits in either points or in either assists or rebounds. Realistically, though, I do think he gets a triple-double in this game. But if he doesn't get a triple-double, I don't think he gets a double-double. It's kind of a weird thought process, but that's a good way to kind of hedge my triple-double bet and still potentially be in the money. So then, as to which team will score first, I'm taking a few different bets. Or I'm not taking a few different bets. I'm taking one bet, and that's based on my analytics as to who will win the tip-off. On the season, as of right now, I'm 17 of 22 predicting who will win the tip-off in any given Nuggets game. That's 77.27%. So I have a very good hit rate, and that only gives us such good knowledge as to who will score first. Last game I told you, I said Nikola Jokic is going to beat up on Tristan Thompson on the tip-off. That'll give the Nuggets the ball first. Now, I don't know if they will score first, but that will give them every advantage to score first. They hit some free throws early, and we won some money there. In this game, it's going to be Jokic against Mo Wagner. Now, Jokic has a standing wingspan of 7'3". Wagner has a wingspan of 7 feet. What's unfortunate about this is that over the last 5 games, Alex Len took 3 out of the last 5 tip-offs for the Washington Wizards. So, I only have a very small sample size of Mo Wagner to work with. In 2 games, he went 1-1, so nothing, very polarizing there. It's kind of hard to work with that. And in addition to it, Nikola Jokic has never tipped off against Mo Wagner. What's even crazier is that Mo Wagner has never had a common tip-off opponent as Nikola Jokic. They've never gone against each other, and they've never had a mutual tip-off opponent. So I couldn't look at anything for head-to-head. So just based on just based on, what we know about Nikola Jokic, what we know about Wagner. Jokic is 7'3", has a 7'3" wingspan. Wagner has a 7-foot wingspan, and Jokic is really smart at stealing the tip off. He jumps, before he's technically allowed to. You're supposed to hit the ball when it's at the peak, but Jokic pulls that vet move and he jumps early, and the refs rarely ever call it. Mo Wagner is pretty young. He graduated from Michigan in 2018, I believe. 2018. So it's going to be difficult for him to win that tip-off. I'm betting on the Nuggets. The Nuggets to score first are locked in at minus 115. The Wizards are locked in at minus 106. That is going to wrap it up for the show today. Thank you so much for watching. Last night we were a little tentative to bet against the Nuggets, considering they've been good as of late, and they were banged up, but the Celtics were also banged up. I was completely wrong on how banged up the Nuggets were. They are not remotely a winning team in the current state that they are in. Well, everyone on their team is injured. Well, all these guards are injured. Well, they are continually missing 3 out of 5 starters. Bet against them. Sure, we can't expect JaMychal Green and Michael Porter Jr. to be as bad as they were in the last game, but we can't expect Jokic to continue carrying the load, scoring 43 points on maximum efficiency. For now, as much as it pains me to say it, there's a trend emerging while we are all hurt, which is bet against the Nuggets. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that next time when I'm able to record, that is not the moral of the story, and I am promoting a different idea. Again, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you are a betting fan, if you have friends who are betting fans, tell them about it. Let's spread awareness about the show. So far, we are still up money. We're still up big money, and I think that's due to I have a bunch of friends, I have a bunch of people I know who watch every Nuggets game, and they are as good at player analytics as me. The difference is I use my kind of math major. I spend 2 hours every day sifting through the betting card, talking about what's good value, figuring out what's good value so I can present that to you. What separates me is my research on Nuggets betting cards specifically. Other people don't do that, and I hope that you have found the success that we have found here so far on the Denver Dollar. We'll see you all next time.